welcome to another episode of Talk Uncensored. I am your host, April Hogan. How's everybody doing today? So I'm excited because I get the opportunity to interview two amazing women today, right? So they're both from two very different anthologies. One of the anthologies is the Beautiful Face of the Invisible Illness anthology, where I will be interviewing Davetta Henderson, who is one of the co-authors, along with myself. She's one of the co-authors in the Invisible Illness anthology, as well as I get the opportunity to introduce and interview Dr. Sharon D. Sauls, and she is a part of the Essential Soft Skills for Effective Leadership, Steps to Leading with Grace. So I have two amazing interviews today, you guys. So you guys definitely want to make sure that you tune into both of them. So let me read some information about Dr. Sharon D. Sauls, because she's who I get to interview first. So widely regarded as one of the most empowering voices in motivational speaking today, Dr. Sharon is a highly sought after international keynote speaker, leadership expert, trainer, and coach. Leveraging 25 years of professional leadership experience in the healthcare, human services, faith-based, and hospitality industries, Dr. Sharon impacts audiences and trains organizational leaders to discover their true leadership abilities, align their leadership skills and behaviors, effectively lead others, and grow their businesses. She is now on a mission to provide leadership training, consulting, coaching, and teaching to organizational leaders, small business owners, faith-based leaders, and others to help them elevate to the next level. Dr. Sharon's extensive leadership expertise has earned her invitations to speak on some of the largest corporate stages across the United States, and her exceptional skills have allowed her to deliver thought-provoking keynotes to some of the industry's most prominent corporations and organizations, including Chick-fil-A, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, just to name a few. Dr. Sharon has also delivered dynamic speeches to live and virtual global audiences, including Sean Fair's Leadership Experience Tour, which airs to millions of viewers on the OnStage Plus Global Network. So, as you can see, this is an interview you do not want to miss, especially if you are a leader or aspiring to be a leader. So after these messages, I get the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Sharon D. Sauls. I will see you after these messages.
Introducing Rich Innovations, your one-stop solution for professional business services. At Rich Innovations, we're here to transform your business dreams into reality. Whether you need business coaching, government contracting expertise, or creative services like book and game publishing or web design, we tailor our services to meet your unique needs, all at prices that won't break the bank. Unlock your business potential with Rich Innovations. Contact us today and let's create success together.
Welcome back to Talk Uncensored. I'm again your host, April Hogan, and as I read prior to the break, we have the great pleasure of having Dr. Sharon D. Sauls on with us today, and we're going to be kind of talking about the essential soft skills for effective leaderships, steps to leading with grace, right? So welcome, Dr. Sharon.
Thank you so much, April. It's so good to be with you this morning.
So I got an opportunity to read your bio to our viewers prior to you coming on, but I would love to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself in your own words. So tell us about Dr. Sharon D. Sauls.
Thank you so much, April. Good to be here. I am Sharon, and as you've noted, leadership consultant, coach, and trainer. I hail from North Carolina. Moved to Maryland about 27 years ago, but my heart is where my parents are, which is North Carolina. I have been a part of leadership for over 25 years, and I am so clear about my purpose and the passion that I have to help leaders as I've grown up with leadership all around me. And it was just instilled in me to really, really share. I enjoy singing, I enjoy reading, I enjoy spending time with family and spending time with friends. And we'll get into more of the professional pieces later. But I have a heart for people and so happy to share with you this morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that and love to hear, the love for people, the love for family, and some of your hobbies. I like singing. I can't sing, but I can background sing. I can most definitely background sing, but that's just all right. So the essential soft skills for effective leadership, steps to leading with grace. So I know you are a co-author in this book. Tell me, what is the title of your chapter? And then what can the readers expect from your chapter?
Yes, April, I'm excited about this book. The title of my chapter is The Power of Empathy, Fostering Employee Engagement Through Compassionate Leadership. And I know that CEOs, business owners, entrepreneurs, even pastors will gather and glean a lot from just delving a little bit deeper into the power of empathy.
All right, so tell me, when we talk about empathy. So for those who don't actually understand empathy, what empathy is. We may get mixed up empathy and sympathy. There are different things that can be misconstrued in the term of what empathy is, and especially as a leader. Tell us what empathy is and how it helps in leadership.
Yes, well, empathy is the ability to demonstrate care for others, to allow yourself to kind of feel and walk the path that those of whom you lead are walking. When we talk about empathy, we talk about feeling and emotions, allowing yourself to have the compassion for what people are going through. We can't sympathize if we've not experienced it ourselves, but we can empathize, acknowledging that what they're dealing with or what they're going through or what their concerns are important to them and significant to them, regardless of how we feel about it personally. But really being able to step inside of the person of whom we're leading, their thoughts, what their background, what their desires and aspirations are. I think an empathetic leader understands it's not about us, it's about those of whom we lead.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, in terms of the essential soft skills for effective leadership, tell me, who is this book for? Who would you recommend this book to?
I would recommend, with Dr. Mosley, the visionary of this anthology, really wants CEOs, business owners to have this comprehensive guide that even allows them to hear real life stories from those of us of whom are authors, and also reflection questions of application in how to put some of the principles in action that we talk about. So first and foremost, CEOs, business owners, if you're leading departments or teams, we definitely want you to get the book in your hands. And quite frankly, April, one of the other loves that I have is church leadership training. And you know what? Pastors will be able to appreciate
Right.
the principles that we talk about in this book as well. So CEOs of congregations, if you will
Absolutely.
benefit from this book. So if you lead people in any way, I think it would behoove you to purchase the book and also share it with team leaders in your organization as well.
And I think even when you think about who is already in position, that even if your goal is leadership, you can learn those principles prior, and that can kind of help push you into that role because you're already learning those principles of leadership from the essential soft skills for effective leadership. Absolutely. And I love the part, steps to leading with grace.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Mhm.
love that too. And when Dr. Mosley asked me if I would consider contributing to the book, when I saw that, I thought, wow, there is a graciousness, if you will. There is a graceful way to lead in the sense of how you're feeling about your position and taking seriously the awesome responsibility to lead and to develop others. The best way to do that is to lead with grace and demonstrating care and being empathetic in your leadership. Is contagious. And so not only are you able to demonstrate it, but you're also able to develop others with those soft skills as well.
Absolutely. So I would love, so I'm an author as well. So I love to write. And I actually, as a business coach, talk a lot. I coach a lot of writers, authors. So I would love to hear your methodology behind your process in your writing. So when you sit down and you're writing the essential soft skills for effective leadership and you're writing your chapter, what type of steps do you go through? Number one, to stay motivated. Number two, to stay disciplined, and then to make sure that you're delivering the message effectively.
Wow, wow. Well, I have to say again, thanks to Dr. Mosley, April. This is my very first chapter, very first written, other than dissertation. But one of the things that I began to think about is myself, right? And the three R's is how do I make sure that what I share is relevant? How do I make sure that it is information and content that the potential or that the expected reader can relate to?
Right.
And how do I make sure it's real, right?
Absolutely.
And so when I think about relevance, as a leadership coach and consultant, I spend a lot of time with leaders and a lot of the challenges that they're having and a lot of the things that we work through has more to do about leading people than the business, if you will.
Understood.
And so when I think about what's relevant, soft skills in leadership is so relevant to with some as a response or as a way to address a lot of the challenges that leaders have.
Right.
So that's the relevance part. And then how do I make sure that the target audience can relate to what it is that I'm talking about, right? And
Mhm.
so that's when I entered and I shared a story that I think all leaders have had some experience with, and it was a very trying time
Okay.
as leader and as owner of a neurological rehab company, several 20 years or so ago, I had a major situation and a scenario that shocked me and actually caused me to reset as a leader.
Right.
And that's where that empathetic piece comes in at April, because I wasn't empathetic enough. I was so consumed with the business, the legalities, the numbers, the collections, the projections, until I lost sight of the need and the desire and the concerns externally and internally of those of whom I was leading. So I share that because I know I'm not the only one
Mhm.
who get consumed to the point where sometimes we miss it.
Right.
So that's that relatable piece. And the real piece is what can you do? What principles, what can you do to apply today? After reading, while reading my chapter, they're going to be able to take away what they can start doing immediately
Love it.
to be able to develop the empathetic skill of leadership. And for those leaders of whom are demonstrating empathy, well, it'll allow them to be able to enhance and to delve deeper and to be more intentional about things that they can do to develop empathy within so that they can lead. Because it does increase employee engagement, and
Absolutely.
that's the wild part. So I look at what's relevant, what's relatable, and the realness of it all. That's kind of how I wrote the chapter, in hopes that it will not only grab the attention at the beginning as I share the story, but also allow readers to continue to read the chapter to learn how can they be better leaders and more effectively lead at the end of the chapter. So that was the methodology, that was the process that I followed. Again, it was my first. I look forward to many more to come. But that's kind of how I was thinking and how I began to write it down.
So I'll tell you, just hearing you explain that, it does not sound like you're first. Now, clearly, you write because you are a international keynote speaker. So that means you have to write anyway, right? But just the way you kind of broke that down, I'm telling you, that doesn't sound like that's the first time. So I'm excited to read what
Thank
you
you.
developed in your chapter. I feel like it's going to be very effective
Yeah,
in terms of something that all leaders may not think about, the importance of empathy, because it's not just about the work, it's about the people too, right? And the
absolutely.
life outside of work. There are
Absolutely.
everybody's different. So
Mhm.
when you take the time to understand who you're working with and allow that empathy, it's extremely important. So I'm excited to read your
You
book.
got it.
I'll tell you, so I'm a scrum master, but I also manage a team. And I am one of those, I'm a numbers person. Like, I'm a goal oriented. Like, come on,
Yep.
you guys, let's win. Like,
Yep.
every now and then you get so caught up in that you
Mhm.
don't consider all
Mhm.
of the other aspects of the people part. So, yes.
Absolutely. And one of the things in my time of serving with Chick-fil-A on the senior leadership team, one of the things that we hear all the time, right? Every life has a story.
Yes.
Every life has a story. And as leaders, we've got to be concerned about that.
Right.
We've got to be concerned about that. So you're so right. And if in fact, and I'm sure you've also heard, and our listeners have heard, if in fact you take care of the people will take care of the organization, right?
Absolutely.
So you're right. We get consumed, and it's, hey, we're not bashing any leader, because as you noted, we all are guilty, because we
Absolutely.
want to succeed. We want the results. And we're calling the attention back. I'm calling the attention back to results and relationships,
Absolutely.
right? At
Absolutely.
the same time. So yeah, I'm excited too. I can't wait. I can't wait for the leaders to get this book in their hands. I can't wait. I know they're going to be helped. I know they're going to be blessed.
Absolutely. So I know you have some other projects coming up. So I want to just highlight them just a little bit. So we know that Leader Magnet Coaching Program. So tell us about the Leader Magnet Coaching Program.
Yeah, so as you noted in the introduction, I am the owner of the Be Led Group, and it's our mantra, April, that in order to have a high performing organization, and in order to effectively lead people, leaders must be led. So that's the mantra of the name of the company. And so, in moving again, thinking about how to grow the business, and how to make sure that results are met, how to make sure things are going well and the team is engaged. I think that it works best if you're a leader that people want to follow,
Right.
not being a part of it just because you're my leader and I have to.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. John Maxwell says a positional leader, just because you're in the position that I have to do and I have to follow you. But I just believe that there are leaders who want to lead in a manner that people want to follow them, that
Absolutely.
people will gravitate to them, that they will attract people to them. So, thus, leader magnet, right? We want to
Yeah.
be the leader magnet. And so I developed a six week program where I spend time with the leaders a couple of hours each week. And again, we're sharing the foundational principles that are important for leaders to demonstrate on a consistent basis that will attract those of whom they lead to them.
Okay.
So that's the Leader Magnet program. And anyone, any emerging, experienced executive leader would glean a lot and learn a lot from that particular program. And then I'm excited. We're looking forward to in fall of 24 of a conference where we are focusing and targeting leaders being led. So the leaders of whom are being led and know and understand the significance of being led, we want to pour into you. So we're scheduling a day where we can pour into leaders of whom are being led and give them more tools, again, to be able to more effectively lead people, to lead their organizations as well. So we're excited, and the individual coaching I do ongoing as well. Just excited to help the leaders. If we ever needed leadership, training, coaching, developing, April, it is now.
Yes.
Leaders matter, leadership matters, and we got to have the leaders. But we also want the leaders to be able to effectively lead and lead people effectively, because we also need the people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I can definitely sense the passion. Like, I hear it when you speak. So tell me, where does that come from? When did you know that you were a, when did you feel like you were a leader? And what do you think, as far, and I just want to say this in the terms of the people who are coming up after you. How do they notice, or what type of things can they look at to understand how to be an effective leader? But first, I want to start off because I hear your passion. When did you realize, because you're probably a leader way before you realized that you were the leader that you are. When did you realize, when was that moment that it clicked? Like, I'm a leader and this is my passion.
Wow, wow. Well, April, you're right. And for me, I was very young. I was very young, and actually, as a little girl, I had leadership just modeled all around me. My mom, just a strong, a single mother around my teen time, and just to see how she worked and how she made sure my sister and I had everything we needed. We didn't even realize if she was struggling. We couldn't tell, because she taught us that perseverance. She taught us that focus, that discipline. I learned that from her. And then uh, I also have a godfather, a godmother, of whom are leaders in their own right. So growing up as a little girl, I saw leadership kind of modeled all around me. And even at the age of, I think, maybe four, I took a picture in my godmama's office, who was executive, and it was a real big chair at the time, and I was sitting in that little chair. So as a little girl, it was modeled around me. So I was a part of conversations and just hearing and seeing leadership all the time. Well, in school, elementary school, I tend to just take lead in everything. I tend to be that leader and tend to be that one to influence everybody, and tend to, so from cheerleading and being the head cheerleader, and then being, singing and leading songs, and in church, just really being I think in church is where it really started for me, pulling us to the forefront and being a part of the Young People's Christian League, being a part of ushers. I mean, we did everything growing up in church, that leadership piece. I feel like before junior high school ended, before sixth, seventh grade, I knew that I was going to be in some leadership position, right? Didn't know exactly what, but I knew that I was going to be in some leadership position. And always had people asking me, what did I think? Or Sharon, are you going to come? We'll go if you're going to go.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. And so we hear the definition of leadership is influence. I realized that I had influence at a very, very early age, and having the leadership around me helped to model that influence because influence can also be negative,
Yes.
but it helped model the influence to the point of being positive and positively leading. So, and I never shied away from it, just prayed for what it was that I needed to develop so that I could effectively lead and I could be a model for those of whom wanted to come forward. The second part of your question, what would I say to those of whom are feeling like, what I would call emerging leaders, right?
Right.
What would I say to the emerging leader? I would say there is a difference. We hear leadership is influence, but there is negative influence. And we've experienced that more so over the last 10, 11 years, up close and personal, like more than ever, that there is influence, but it can be negative.
Hmm.
So I would say if you feel like you have a tendency for leading, to find those of whom you emulate, find those of whom you admire, and spend time with them, ask them questions, watch them. That's what I did with my mom, my dad, my godmama. I watched, I listened, sometimes from afar, but just to hone in on those leaders. Read about leaders. Read about leaders of whom were successful, leaders of whom were made great accomplishments. Read about the leaders. I would also say if you feel that tendency, again, seek out the leadership coaching. And I'm not saying this, April, because I'm a leadership coach, but I'm saying people of whom are experts in the field. When I was growing up, we didn't really hear that leadership coach. We didn't really hear that. There wasn't like a specialty or an area of specialty that people had, but they were coaching. They just didn't call it that.
Right. Right.
We spent time with people when we were younger, in the 80s and 90s, of whom would kind of talk out different things. Well, now there are coaches of whom are certified, who have really embraced the passion, their purpose for coaching to help leaders develop. And I would say seek those people out. Attend conferences, attend workshops, podcast. April, what you're doing is absolutely the best. I would say to people, if you feel like leadership is a thing, because there are three parts. You've got to learn how to lead yourself,
Mhm.
then you have to learn how to lead others, and then if you're leading in an organization, that's another area of leadership, how to lead in an organization. And podcasts like this one, other leadership podcasts, it helps us to hear other people and to learn how to lead self, others, and in an organization.
Right.
So I would say, hey, listen, if you feel like you have the tendency, it can be developed. Yep, some leaders are born with tendencies, but leaders are made. You just have to put yourself in the right path with the right people, having the right resources. You can become an effective leader as well, and you can help take your organization to great heights by leading, whether you're leading up, whether you're leading on the same level, or where you're leading and someone is accountable to you. You can do it, but it takes work. It doesn't just happen. You've got to put the work in. You can grow as a leader.
And I love how you said it earlier that leaders still need to be led. Because you got to
Absolutely.
be, yeah, there's always going to be something new that you need to gain. So leaders also need to be led. So as we wrap up, can you let the viewers know where they can find you, whether social media, website, where they can find Dr. Sharon D. Sauls?
Sure, sure. And it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. My website is www.thebeledgroup.com. That's BELED, thebeledgroup.com is our website. And then you may follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, Sharon D. Sauls. And I also have the Be Led Group with Facebook and Instagram as well. I would love to have any of you whom are listening right now. You've got to go on the website and get this book. It is on my website in bookstore. You've got to click on it. You've got to purchase the book. And then there are other services that we talked about that I provide that you can inquire about as well. In order for leaders to grow their organization and to effectively lead people, we must be led. And I want to say, April, having that empathy and the soft skills that are discussed in this book will help leaders increase employee engagement, decrease turnover, and help to grow your organization to become a high-performing organization. And not only that, leaders, leading with grace is pretty attractive.
Love it. Love it. Well, I again want to thank you for coming on. I know I'm going to get the book, and then all of your social media and website is at the bottom of the screen. So everyone, make sure that you go. If you are a leader, if you are aspiring to be a leader, you need to hook up with Dr. Sharon D. Sauls. And then the book, you need to make sure the essential soft skills for effective leadership, Steps to Leading with Grace. So I want to thank you again for coming on. I look forward to possibly doing it again at some time. I would absolutely love to have you on again. And for my viewers, I will see you after these messages.
The Empower Your Journey Business and Tech Tour is coming to Huntsville, Alabama, April 27th, 2024. This professional event brings together experts and professionals in the business and tech industries to engage in workshops and networking while gaining insight from our keynote speakers and panelists. Come enjoy the event of the year as we focus on knowledge exchange and skill development. Interested in being a part of this event? We are seeking sponsors, panelists, vendors, and volunteers. Find out more by visiting us online at empoweryourjourneytour.com. Tune in to Talk Uncensored every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube/Talk Uncensored. See you there.
Welcome back to Talk Uncensored. I'm your host, April Hogan. We just had the opportunity to interview Dr. Sharon D. Sauls, and next I get the pleasure of interviewing Davetta Henderson, and she is Davetta Henderson. She is one of the co-authors for The Beautiful Face of the Invisible Illness Anthology by Nadia Monsanto. So let me read some information about Ms. Henderson. Davetta Henderson thrives in a diverse life of leadership as a servant of God, business professional, author, and entrepreneur. She serves as an executive pastor, and she has a successful professional career in corporate human resources. Her gift for writing was her inspiration to become an author. As a 5-time best-selling author, Davetta has shared her testimonies of single motherhood, the corporate climb, chronic illness, and her spiritual path. She also has a solo project, a faith-based fictional book series, The Seed, The Soil, The Sower. In addition to writing, Davetta is a freelance editor. Through her own journey, Davetta has developed a passion for bringing joy to the lives of women, which she shares through jewelry as the CEO of Davetta Jewels, LLC. Wow, amazing. And she is one of the co-authors of The Beautiful Face of the Invisible Illness. So she's going to share her story right after these messages.
In the heart of Florida, AGT Medical Billing Solutions is your trusted partner for all your medical billing and coding needs. Our dedicated experts specialize in medical billing, precise coding, and efficient collections, ensuring you get paid what you deserve. With AGT, your practice can focus on what matters most, patient care, while we handle the rest. Choose AGT Medical Billing Solutions for accuracy, reliability, and peace of mind in medical billing.
All right, welcome back to Talk Uncensored. I'm your host, April Hogan, and I had the pleasure of, prior to going to break, giving you guys a biography of Miss Davetta Henderson, who I now have on the show. How are you doing today, Miss Davetta?
I'm great and excited to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. We are excited to have you on. So I did get the opportunity to read your biography to the viewers, but I would love to hear about Miss Davetta Henderson from your perspective. So tell us about who you are and what you got going on right now.
Oh, Miss Davetta Henderson, I am a native of Washington, D.C., brought up in the D.C. and the Prince George's County public school system. I have my story is that of a single mother who worked her way through college to make sure that me and my child were lived the way that I wanted to live in the way that my parents had me live, going to college and going to school and trying to raise a son. I've always been dedicated to trying to make sure that even if I make mistakes, it's not too late to correct them and to keep going. And so from there, I climbed the corporate ladder in human resources. So I've started out as an admin and worked my way up, as many people have done. And right now I'm working still in human resources. It's always been a passion since I was a little child. When I was in junior high, I wrote a play that was produced and got an opportunity to write my first book, which jump-started me into being a 5-time anthology author. And I'm doing some editing. And so I'm just right now trying to live my best life with a chronic illness, with a which brings its own challenges and rewards. And so I'm just trying to live my best life right now.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So we both happen to be co-authors in The Beautiful Face of the Invisible Illness anthology by Miss Nadia Manzano.
Yes.
So tell me what the title of your chapter is.
The title of my chapter is I Will Thrive.
Okay, that is awesome. That is awesome. So tell the viewers what they can expect from your chapter.
From my chapter, my illness is lupus, systemic lupus, so my chapter focuses on what lupus is, how it affects me, and most importantly, how living every day and thriving in the midst of that, just how it came about. You're walking along one day, everything is fine, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything isn't. And my book is just a way to encourage others, to let them know that in spite of, you can keep going, and to give some tidbits on how to, and some suggestions on how to move forward in the midst of that type. And so I wanted to make sure that others can have that same type of success.
Absolutely. So tell me some of the signs. So if someone is maybe battling or not for sure that it's something that they may have, what are some signs to look out for?
Lupus has actually about 15 symptoms, predominant symptoms. And it goes from anything from your joints are aching, you can get fevers. The biggest and the most predominant symptom is the fatigue. You're tired all of the time, just crazy fatigue. Skin rashes. There are what they call butterfly rashes that come right around your new kid. Anemia. Very sensitive, a lot of sensitivity to sunlight, and there were times where I could not. All of a sudden, I couldn't open the blinds in my office where it was lot of sun that came in, and I literally had to keep my office blinds closed. Another one is your fingers start numbing and they get cold. I think it's called Raynaud's phenomenon. Mouth or ulcers, different for everyone. And so out of all of these symptoms, you may or may not have them, and they may be in different degrees. One of the things that usually occurs is there's some type of effect on one of your organs, predominantly the kidneys. And for me, I did have kidney issues and ended up being on having end-stage renal disease and being on dialysis. So if you start going is lessening, then that's a sign also.
Okay. All right. So being that you are currently living with lupus, tell us, for those who may be living with this invisible illness as well, what are some ways to live a healthy life with lupus?
One of the first things you have to do is to make sure that you are following or the instructions of your doctor. It's important that you do see a physician and that's like the rheumatology area. So it's in the same area as arthritis, and you actually have some arthritic symptoms along with that. And so go to your rheumatologist and keep up your regular appointments with them. You also have to definitely focus on recognizing when your body is just saying no. And when that happens, it's time to stop. I am a overachiever, and so I'm multitasking all the time. But there comes a time when I have to say no. I got to stop. I've got to get some rest, and so it's important to do that. The other thing you need to do is to make sure that you are eating healthy and that you're not overindulging in eat around the perimeters of the grocery store, as they say. Make sure you're getting your daily dosage of all of the proteins and the vegetables that you're supposed to be getting. It's very important that you become familiar with your body and how it affects you, because like I said, lupus is different for everyone, so everyone is not going to have the same symptoms. But once I can't be outside very long. I can't go to the beach and hang out. So I know that there are things that I can't do. And so you just have to pay attention to that and adjust. And when you do that, you avoid what they call the flare-ups. And it's like cancer. You go into remission, and then depending on if something happens, it can flare up. And then it takes you some time to get it back with your body.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's with a lot of illnesses, because that's similar with mine. You got to get to know your body. Like that's the best way to really be able to maintain a healthy lifestyle, is getting to know your body specifically, and what your triggers are. Start to learn when your body is starting to feel a certain way, so that way wait, let me slow down a little bit. Absolutely. So aside from the book, The Beautiful Face of Invisible Illness anthology, you are CEO of Davetta Jewels LLC. So tell us about your jewelry store.
I am an independent consultant with the Great Paparazzi Accessories, where we are trying to change lives $5 at a time. It is literally $5 jewelry. As a consultant, I've been in the business for about 2 years, simply because I love jewelry. And I ran into a friend who, come and see my jewelry. And I wouldn't, because I knew that how much I love jewelry. And so one day I did. And the day that I was on her Facebook Live, she was selling, and I spent $95 on $5 jewelry. She called me and said, listen, you really need to become a consultant. And the great thing about it was that not only do I have access as a consultant. I have access to new products every single 5 days a week. There's some new jewelry coming out, and so you're never bored. I also can be in the business without even selling, and so that's what I started out doing. But as I walked around and people were like, "Oh, that's great. Oh, where'd you get that? Oh, where'd you get this?" I started little by little selling, and so I just love it because I love to see. Because when you put on a piece of jewelry, it just, to me, it just makes you feel better. It enhances. And when I have like this type of chronic illness, it kind of plays into it. So I do things that make me feel better, even when inside the invisible illness, I'm not feeling so well. So I put on a nice piece of jewelry, and that just talks to my heart and my mind, and I can walk on. And so I love it. And I do Facebook Lives, and I love what I do. I love how it makes.
Well, I love how you connected your invisible illness with your business and how you do things that make you feel good, that help
Yes.
with, the things that people may not see. And that is that invisible illness. That's the thing that you got to tackle every day, whether you want to tackle it or not.
Yes.
You have those remedies that will assist you in that. And jewelry is one of yours. I absolutely love jewelry too. I am a accessorizing. I love to accessorize. So absolutely, I completely agree with that. So, Miss Davetta Henderson, let the viewers know where they can find you. So, whether it's the jewelry store, I know you're a pastor. So, if there is a place that we can kind of look at your ministry, where can we find Miss Henderson?
I can be found on Instagram, both Instagram and Facebook, on Davetta J. Henderson. I'm also executive pastor and Victory Nation Church. It can also be found on Facebook at Victory Nation Church MD. Also, you can get my jewelry line from DavettaJewels.com, and also my books can be found at DavettaHenderson.com. And so if you put in Davetta, multiple aspects of me will come up. It's always about the Davetta. That was the most unique thing I could find. And so
Absolutely. So I'll make sure that we got the links to all social media and website here at the bottom of the screen. So you can go buy jewelry. You can go look at the ministry. You can get the we're going to be doing pre-sales on the beautiful face of the invisible illness here coming up soon. So get your copy so you can read about lupus and how Miss Davetta Henderson, that journey that you went through. So I do want to thank you for coming on. I am looking forward to going learning more about you and your business. And is there any last words you want to say to the audience?
Just be encouraged. I mean, no matter what's going on inside of you, there's always something outside that can encourage you. Whether I look to the hills, which is God, and then I put on my jewelry, and then I write my books. Look within yourself and encourage yourself, and you can get through it.
Absolutely. That's lovely. Thank you so much for joining us today. And to all my viewers, go check her out. I said everything here is on the bottom of the screen, and we will see you.